motherfuckers. Oh yeah, I'm back early in the motherfucking morning. This is your main man, Mr. K. You dig it, Baton Rouge Mayor, and I'm back with a couple hot ticks of these motherfucking politics. Hit that. Oh, look, America. Pete Hegseth is 10 different levels of motherfucking stupid. He don't deserve to be in the position of running Department of Defense. He's a buffoon. He's a fucking clown. He's an ex-Fox News host that been liable for sexual assault. He's been kicked off Fox News from being a fucking alcoholic. Now he's the head of Department of Defense. This shit has got to be stopped. Pete Hegseth need to be kicked in his ass, put him in jail. Him, the whole motherfucking Republican Party, including Marco Rubio, Stephen Miller, Pam Bundy, Cocaine Cash Patel, and Donald Trump at the head. Put the handcuffs on them. Kick them in their ass. Lock all they motherfucking ass up, including J.D. Vance. You got that?
But she said that she remembered going back to a hotel room with Hegseth in which they engaged in sexual intercourse, and that it was not consensual, and that she had repeatedly said that she did not want to engage. And that's when she ended up leaving the hotel room, and several days later went to the hospital.
The former regime had every chance to make a peaceful and sensible deal. But Tehran was not negotiating. They were stalling, buying time to reload their missile stockpiles and restart their nuclear ambitions. Their goal, hold us hostage, threatening to strike our forces. Well, President Trump doesn't play those games. And as Secretary Rubio said after the Maduro raid, if you don't know, now you know.
Go through some of these facts with you, because one of the things that apparently particularly stresses out Todd Lyons is when Stephen Miller yells at him, and he says he doesn't like being yelled at. And lots of his colleagues and people around him say that he shows up to work visibly sweaty with the red face, that he paces around, that he's unable to speak coherently because he's so consumed by the stress of his job. And his job has apparently been sending ICE Gestapo on the street, rounding up migrants, killing them, putting them in concentration camps, harassing citizens as well, and destroying people's lives. And I think this is a really important story as well to talk about, because I think you also need to know that we, the people, hold power, and we need to always make sure that it's, whether it's people like Todd Lyons or Stephen Miller or others, actually feel pressure and feel that accountability is coming for their horrible actions. They should feel guilty because they are guilty. They should be shamed because they're involved in shameful conduct. And we, the people, should call them out for their behavior. And Todd Lyons should know that when he's done with his term, that there will be states across this country, DAs across the country that will go and prosecute him, that will try to throw him in prison.
This is exactly what Americans voted for. Minnesotan who works as a lineman or works as a construction worker, works in any job that requires hard work, dedication, focus, who's worried about his ability to support for and provide his family. And then imagine that he has a neighbor who's a Somali refugee who arrived 2 years ago and has a Mercedes and no financial stress and no worries at all in the entire world, and never seems to ever go to work at all because he just went to an office in the state, lied on a piece of paper, and got unlimited free money forever for life. That is the system that is being run, and that is the corruption that this task force under the leadership of the vice president is going to demolish.
Now that Pam Bondi's been deposed, this is what the Trump regime was concealing in these files. It alleges that, I'll just read for you what it says. She says that, so Epstein brings her to Trump, she alleges, and she says, Trump mentioned something to the effect of, which is that they all exited when Trump asked everybody to leave the room. Trump mentioned something to the effect of, let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be, it's alleged. Trump unzipped his pants and put the 13 to 15-year-old's head down to his penis, it is alleged, bit the shit out of it, she said. Trump struck and said words to the effect of, Get this little bitch the hell out of here. And then Jane Doe, who was 13 to 15 years old at the time, advised she bit Trump's penis because he disgusted her. He had money. It reeked off of him. At that point, people re-entered the room. No further information was provided.
We've all seen that video. Now, just one day later, Patel ordered the firing of at least 10 FBI agents and staff who participated in the investigation of Trump concealing classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago club after he left the presidency. Quite a way to make Trump happy, I suppose.
And then J.D. Vance says that when you go to the polls in November, I want you to think who will protect your money from the fraudsters. I mean, literally, this is like a regime, the Epstein class fraudsters in the Oval Office. But go on, JD, here, play this clip.
Generosity of spirit. And so I want you, when you go to the polls in November, I don't want you to just think about all the great things that we've accomplished, all the great things that we've talked about. I don't want you just to think about no taxes on tips and lower gas prices. I want you to think, who is going to protect my money from fraudsters? And the simple answer is it's Derek Van Orden and congressional Republicans. It is not the Democrats who created this problem to begin with.
And then his final message was, you got to stop the crazy Democrats. Stop the crazy Democrats. Y'all are a bunch of pedo protectors in the Oval Office. You are the Epstein class. You are the cabal. Here, play this clip.
I just want you to know that every single day I go to work, and every single day Donald J. Trump goes to work, and we fight for the American dream for you and your family, however you define it. We would really appreciate you not sending us a bunch of crazy Democrats in November. So please don't do that. God bless you all. Thank you.
Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Kristen Noem, the Botox face skank that used to run ICE, is back in the news. Her husband is found cross-dressing, wearing bras and pink pants. All of them fucked up. Like her mother.
Well, I've got to say, this may be one of the more bizarre stories we'll be covering on this program. Former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has broken her silence after it was revealed that her husband, Brian Noem, is a cross-dresser with a liking for oversized fake breasts and tight-fitting miniskirts or shorts there. In a statement released to the New York Post, Noem's camp said, Miss Noem is devastated. The family was blindsided by this and they ask for privacy and prayers at this time.
Breaking news, look America, this is Kristen Noem and her motherfucking husband cross-dressing. I told you the Botox skank was a fucking crook. Look at this shit. This who Donald Trump hired to be Homeland Security. Lock her Look America, Pam Bundy, Kristen Noem is a disgrace to our country, a threat to our Constitution. These two bitches been in the government grifting since they been in there. I know what to do with them. Put the handcuffs on them. Lock them up.
I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
She says you're not a real lawyer, or you're a washed-up lawyer or whatever. I mean, again, all that stuff we have to try to disregard. The ad hominem attacks, which we understand are a logical and rhetorical fallacy. And instead look at the underlying meaning. And what makes somebody a real lawyer? What makes somebody a good lawyer or a great lawyer? Well, I tried to gesture at that in my opening remarks, in my opening statement, where I said, you have to identify with the people who are the victims of injustice and criminal violence and not with their perpetrators. And if all you do is serve the people in power, which is what Pam Bondi does, then you are not a good lawyer, much less a great lawyer.
Look, America, Pete Hegseth is a Christian nationalist. He's a bigot. He's a racist. He's an unhinged motherfucker. Put the handcuffs on him. Lock his motherfucking ass up.
Today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is facing increased scrutiny over a highly unusual decision to block the promotion of 4 Army officers. Senior military officials tell the New York Times Hegseth stopped 2 black officers and 2 female officers from becoming one-star generals. In a statement to the Times, the Pentagon did not directly address Hegseth's decision, but said, quote, military promotions are given to those who have earned them. Joining me now is Greg Jaffe, one of the reporters behind that piece. Welcome to you, Greg. What more can you tell us about Hegseth's decision and the officers who were targeted?
So the main thing is that this is just really highly unusual, that the Army and Secretary Hegseth have been sort of bickering over this or arguing over this. Bickering's not the right word, for months now. It's not clear that Secretary Hegseth has the legal authority to pull these names off the list. Those are the main things, I think.
Oh, look, America. Christian nationalism is not a religion. It's deadly. And I'd be damned if Pete Hegseth gonna push this bullshit on the American people. Put the handcuffs on him. Lock his motherfucking ass up.
I had the opportunity to visit our troops fighting in Operation Epic Fury. We were on the ground in CENTCOM on Saturday for about half the day. For reasons of operational security, so those troops are not targeted, the places and bases will not be named. Suffice it to say, the trip was an honor. I had a chance to bear witness, and I witnessed the best of America. I witnessed warriors, a brotherhood of men and women warriors all, active duty, guard, and reserve, united in their love for each other, their shared purpose, and their commitment to the mission.
Oh, look, America. Do not believe that bullshit that Pete Hegseth is spilling out his mouth. United States Army is not a religious organization. We have the freedom of consciousness, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Lock his motherfucker. Oh, look, America. The separation between church and state is being attacked by Donald Trump and his Christian nationalists, his Trump regime, Nazi party, his Republican party. Lock all they motherfucking.
He speaks openly and unapologetically about how his Christian faith informs his moral and political views on everything from the treatment of immigrants and trans kids to the war with Iran. But some of these extremist pastors seem to think that Jesus belongs to the GOP alone. Last week, a podcaster with ties to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and his Christian nationalist church, Joshua Hames, took attacks on Tallarico to a shocking new low in conversation with Hegseth's spiritual advisor. Watch this.
I pray that God kills him. Ultimately, that means killing his heart and raising him up to new life in Christ. That's the first thing.
We want him crucified with Christ.
That's exactly
I
right.
want him to be, I think, Saul of Tarsus, Tallarico of Tarsus.
Yes,
That's what I want.
Oh, look, America. Caroline Leavitt is the most dishonest skank that ever lived. She is pushing religion for Trump to say that the troops are okay to go bomb in Iran. Lock her motherfucking.
He says, quote, attacking Iran's vital infrastructure, including energy and industrial facilities, directly targets the Iranian people. Such actions carry consequences that extend far beyond Iran's borders. He goes on to argue those consequences would mean greater instability, higher economic costs, and long-term resentment. The letter also accuses the U.S. of acting as a proxy for Israel, saying that Israel is pushing America into war to serve its own interests. And then it asks a direct question to Americans. Whose interests is this war really serving? Is America First truly among the priorities of the U.S. government today, he asks. He says, quote, observe the many accomplished Iranian immigrants educated in Iran who now teach and conduct research at the world's most prestigious universities or contribute to the most advanced technology firms in the West. Do these realities align with the distortions you are being told about Iran and its people? He ends by urging Americans to look past what he calls the machinery of misinformation and says the world is now at a crossroads.
Oh, look, America. Donald Trump and his Nazi administration is starting to crack. You remember that motherfucking ballroom, that fake-ass club he told hour and a half of the White House to do? The federal judge just stopped that shit. It's going down. Lock his motherfucker.
So we've got some big breaking news, and hide the ketchup. A federal judge has just ordered the Trump administration to halt construction of Trump's $400 million White House ballroom, ruling that the project cannot move forward unless Congress approves it. In a major rebuke, the judge made it crystal clear that the president is just a steward of the White House, not the owner. And per the ruling, Trump does not have the legal authority to tear down part of the White House grounds and build a massive new ballroom just because he wants to, though maybe a little late for that. The court said that no existing law comes close to giving Trump that power, even if private donors are footing the bill. The judge also stressed that Congress has controlled major White House construction projects for centuries, and that this project can't just bypass that whole process.
Oh, look, America. Donald Trump is upset because the judge didn't stop his motherfucking club from being built on the side of the motherfucking White House. Donald Trump need to be worried about the motherfucking war and Medicaid. You son of a bitch, you don't own that motherfucking house. Lock his mother.
Let's dig into this order by this Republican-appointed judge blocking Donald Trump's ballroom unless it gets congressional approval. Folks, hide that ketchup because Donald Trump's going to start throwing things against the wall. Let's dig into this 35-page order. It states as follows. The President of the United States is the steward of the White House for future generations of first families. He is not, however, the owner! Exclamation point. President Trump, the president, claims that Congress has given him authority in existing statutes to construct his East Wing ballroom project and to do it with private funds. The plaintiff, the National Trust for Historic Preservation in the United States, claims the president has no such authority under existing statutes and that a preliminary injunction is necessary to avoid irreparable harm. I have concluded that the National Trust is likely to succeed on the merits because no statute comes close to giving the president the authority he claims to have. As such, I must therefore grant the National Trust motion for a preliminary injunction, and the ballroom construction project must stop immediately until Congress authorizes its completion, so ordered. Now, I'll go through some of the facts and legal reasoning here, but I think it's important for you to remember as well that previously this federal judge had denied the motion for preliminary injunction because the judge said that the National Trust did not cite the appropriate law. The National Trust then amended its complaint and in its amended filing sought a preliminary injunction. And the judge says, well, now that you've invoked the correct legal authority, this is clearly ultra vires outside the scope of presidential authority, absent congressional authorization. So this time, this federal judge, again, a GOP appointed federal judge, George W. Bush appointed federal judge, grants the injunction, blocks the ballroom. So that means ballroom construction is hereby halted. Now,
oh, look, America. Donald Trump and his motherfucking administration try to come up with some kind of convoluted funding scheme to fund the ballroom / club he wanted built using private money. He thought he got away. Lock his motherfucking... Oh, look, America. It's we the people, not Donald Trump and his motherfucking administration. It's we the people, not Fox News, David Ellis, and the rest of these sorry-ass billionaires. Lock all these motherfucking ass up. Him